Same with this so-called lemon water that's going to help you lose 10 pounds. It's because the theory is it helps flush the liver. And it's not just the lemon juice, just squeeze it. It's the rind of the lemon, hot or cold. If you get the rind, the yellow bits, put it in the water. Now we want the juice too for flavor. And there's other things properties that are healthy. Squeeze that in there. That's where that comes from. It's not that it's actually going to help you shed 10 pounds. It's going to help you with your liver, flush out the fat that we can store in our liver. They call it our last 10 pounds. Not for everybody, but it's not going to hurt you either. Let's keep a healthy liver.
What is up, everybody? I'm Mitch.
And I'm Dustin, and you're tuned in to the Fatmen Podcast. Welcome.
So today's veteran highlight, what we usually start this thing out, today's veteran highlight is Specialist Thomas Luna. I just wanted to give him a shout out because I've seen him posting every single day that he's been in the gym working hard and making a positive difference. He's part of the 438th Chemical Company, and he's always the first one to give his all, and he definitely brightens up the unit. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. So if you guys could show him some love in the comments, thank you for everything you do, Specialist Thomas Luna. We salute
you.
So we got a very special guest today. We have Anita Westfield and Westlake. I apologize. We have Anita Westlake, and she's a CDC-certified expert in weight loss, diabetes, and diabetes prevention. And so we're really excited to have a chat with her. And so, Anita, we'll introduce you right now. Can you give us a little backstory of who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Hi. So I'm Anita Westlake, and I'm the founder of Every Healthy Choice Counts. We specialize in weight loss, diabetes prevention, management, and I don't like to use this term, but it's the term that's out there in diabetes reversal. So I'll just kind of tell you what that means. Reversal means we can help you get off medication if that's possible, given your circumstances. We can help you with all of that as long as you do the work. No magic wands, just logic and science and support. And that's what it's about. And learning.
No easy button here.
Well,
right.
You know what? I wish. But I can tell you through my own journey, as you learn, you embrace, and you allow yourself to get support, it does become easier. Right? And there's different things you can do to support yourself to make that easy. In my own journey, which, I'll share if you would like, I'll share
Absolutely.
my background.
Sure, definitely.
Someone once told me, Anita, your lifestyle will become just like brushing your teeth, that you get up every morning and you brush your teeth. Well, I was a preteen, so that wasn't all that easy. I don't remember. If you remember when you were a kid, brush your teeth. I got to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
Right.
So that didn't really resonate with me. But now, as an adult going through my journey, it does resonate with me. So it does become easier. As you build good habits, they do become easier. When you have a resource to go to for support, and you have knowledge in your mind and you can implement it, it becomes easier. And it's not trying. You don't live in scarcity or lack of.
Yes.
Right? So I have to commend both of you. Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you for your support.
And I have been watching your social media, and I like the fact that you want people to share their success stories. So important, right?
Yes,
What
definitely.
are you doing? What do you need help with? And the fact that you're doing it. So, as you know, you don't have to be good or great to start, but you have to start to be good, great, or just above where you are now.
That's what we always say. That's one thing we always say. And 90% of it is just showing up and showing up for yourself. And because we can talk, let's face it, everybody knows like the basics of what to do. Like eat good, do work, like work your body. Everybody knows it, but it's whether or not they actually do the work. You have to show up for yourself. And that's the hardest thing to do. So often we think of fitness as strictly a physical thing, whenever in reality, I almost believe that it's more of a mental game than anything else. And so
it's a huge mental mind shift.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
And one thing that we wanted to do is kind of our backstory. We're 60 pounds, 50 pounds down, and I just know, thank you. But I just know the struggles that we faced in our adult life, and what I've came to find out is building a strong community and having that support system really can determine the difference between failure and success. And so he's been my go-to accountability partner, and we have this motto. I think I shared with you when we talked on the phone. We have this saying that we say. The number one rule is don't be a bitch. So we don't want to bitch out on ourselves. We don't want to bitch out on each other.
Right.
And so we definitely hold ourselves to that standard. And we just hope to build a positive community that people can come along and feel part of.
Absolutely. And it's great to have an accountability partner, really.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at weight loss, and it's not just weight loss, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's different avenues to look down. When you look down these paths, you want a healthy weight loss program.
Exactly.
That's the key right there. Because when it comes to weight loss, and there's a huge correlation to diabetes and weight, as we all know, it's not the only thing that matters, but it's one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a head to toe situation, right? So you don't want to put strain on other parts of your body when you're going through a weight loss journey.
Yeah.
Now, there's all these quick tips and tricks. I love that. What's a trick? Well, you eat healthy. There's your big trick. I mean, there is no magic wand. We don't live in Bewitch where we wiggle our nose.
Yeah.
Boom, it comes off. I can't tell you how many
In a
times
perfect
I
world.
talk to people, and I wish I could say to them, it's so easy. You're going to do it all in a month. But how long did it take you to get where you are? How much
Exactly.
weight do you have to lose?
Right.
Can we be realistic? If you were to lose it that quickly, what would that actually look like? What would it mean? And could you sustain it? There's number one. And what would it do to your health? Do you know, when you go for insurance, life insurance, they'll ask you, what was your average weight and how much should you lose in a year? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
has to do with health and the strain on your body.
Well, I
Right?
actually got turned down for health insurance at one point with my employer because they sent me a packet and asked me what my height and weight was, and I was honest on there. I put down there that I was 5'11" and I was 280 pounds, and by their standards, I was considered medically obese, so they denied me coverage, even though I'm not technically. I mean, I'm in shape, but it's more muscle than fat, so it kind of balances out. But they thought that I was just some tub of lard, I suppose, and denied me coverage.
They didn't take into account that he's a big old power lifter.
No, clearly they didn't. But that is like low-hanging fruit, right?
Right.
They just took a simple metrics without looking at you as an individual,
Exactly.
without asking deeper questions, and they just said A, B, C, D.
Exactly.
That's approach to a lot of things, because there's just this metrics that means what. So we have to dial that back and look at ourselves like we're individuals. So when it comes to diabetes, it's over 1 in 3 are affected by diabetes.
Right.
So out of health concerns, it's one of the 3 top things right now globally that is a health concern. Weight has a factor in it. All kinds of things have a factor in it. So I did write a book. It's called Disrupting Diabetes.
Awesome. We'll
And
make
I
sure that we
forgot to tell
definitely
you
tag
about
that.
that. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
But it is geared to people that you're either dealing with somebody, you're a caregiver, they're a loved one, you're at risk yourself. But I go through all the 9 steps, including medication. Now, you may not be on medication, though. But all the other principles are, they go across the board. Whether you're losing weight, you want to be healthy, sleep's important. Stress is so, so important, and we don't recognize that. A hormone you produce when you're stressed, do you know, that interacts with your insulin, and it stops it from working properly. This can help us. We can pendulum, whether your sugar goes down or up, whether it creates cravings to eat more or loss of appetite. Neither one is good.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which one. I've had ladies when they say, oh, I lose my whole 30 pounds that I have to lose every year in the summer. Really? Wow. So what happens the rest of the year? This is not sustainable. This is not good for you. Are you even eating when you lose weight? Is that a method? Many people use that as a method. Or they negotiate with themselves. Have you ever had a diet cookie? I have.
First of all, they're terrible.
No,
They're disgusting.
You're the good guy. You're actually talking about a diet cookie. My diet cookie is when I take a cookie and I crumble it up into about 12 pieces, and I have one of those pieces.
Yeah.
And I have two of those pieces. Then I go back later on, I have 3 or 4 of those pieces. Before I'm done, I crushed up another cookie and that's my second diet cookie. But in my brain, I've only eaten a little bit of a cookie.
Yeah.
Just done it many, many, many times in that day.
I feel like you're speaking to me directly because I've played these games my whole entire life. This one doesn't count.
It's a diet cookie.
Yeah, this one doesn't count.
Yeah, no. And you know what? I won't eat very much tomorrow. I'm going to eat half my dinner tonight. I'm going to go do a huge workout the next day. And we negotiate with ourselves all the time.
I do that on a regular basis. I always tell myself, I can have this cheeseburger because I'm going to the gym tonight.
Yeah, but you're not alone. That's what we do. We're human beings, right?
Yeah,
So
and we lie to ourselves more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Well, it just tells you how important the mindset is, right? So here's a mindset that I speak to. Do you feel on your weight loss journey you could go to a buffet?
Depends on the buffet.
It depends on what point in my weight loss journey. If I could have at the beginning, I could not have. I didn't have the discipline. But now,
Sure.
So for me, my diet consists more of a lifestyle than a diet. But I live off the 80-20 rule, and so if I eat the right things 80% of the time, then if I realize that I didn't put on the 60 pounds in one day, one meal is not going to devastate everything that I do. But I also believe that I had so many Mondays, if you know what I mean. In my life, there were so many Mondays. I'll be like, oh, it's Tuesday. I messed up. I'll start again on Monday. And every week it was like, I'll start again on Monday. Now I'm just like, okay, I indulged. Like Easter just happened. I indulged on Easter. But you know what I did the very next meal? I went back to eating the stuff that I'm supposed to eat, and I just try to regulate it there. But in my life, I have not. Being able to go to a buffet wouldn't have been a realistic thing for me to do specifically at the beginning of my fitness journey.
So what would you say at any one point, the idea of, okay, guys, let's all go to a buffet, okay? What did you envision in your mind? What is the internal talk that would cause you to hesitate to go to a buffet?
Before or now?
Well, either, let's say before, and if there's a mind shift, now.
So before it was, especially like at the beginning, it's like, man, I know that I'm going to not have the willpower to stop myself. And I'm going to eat myself to the point of where I'm miserable. Now it's like, do I want to feel like crap? Because a big part now is I more fuel myself for whenever I go to the gym. Now, on my off days, I'm not as critical about what I eat, but on the days that I do go to the gym, I can tell the difference if I've eaten really, really, really crappy versus if I've eaten moderately okay. Which I am not the poster child for eating perfect, but I try. Like I'm conscious of it at least. But those are the two shifts. Before it was I'm going to be miserable, and now it's I'm going to regret it when I go to the gym.
Well, see, my issue is I'm an overeater by nature. I eat extremely fast, and that was drilled into me thanks to the military, and that's something I've carried over into my civilian life. So every time the wife and I go out to dinner, I'm always the first one done eating. Mm-hmm. And I tend to eat extremely quickly, so by the time I'm done eating my entire meal, I'm still hungry. So if I go to a buffet, I tend to overindulge, even if I'm getting the healthier options on the buffet, whether it's salmon and broccoli or something of that sort, I'm still going to overindulge in the healthy foods, which is still counteractive to eating healthy.
Yeah.
Because you're eating a volume.
Right.
Even though it's healthy, it's still volume.
Exactly.
Is what you're saying, right? So some people have a mindset, and I don't know if either you have experienced this, but they look at the price and they say, I am paying X amount for this evening.
Gotta
We're
get
not
your
going to
money's
call it a
worth.
meal because it's a buffet, right? But it is a meal. So I better not eat for like 24 hours because I know I'm going to blow my brains out at the buffet because it costs X amount of dollars and I have to get my money's worth,
Exactly.
right? So that's a big one I hear a lot, and the others that you've just mentioned. But here's a mind shift, just one. I mean, we all have it and we can all deal with it. And that's what we help people do is strategize in different scenarios, right? But here's just a little way of curbing your mindset in this. You are paying for choice. You're paying for choice.
Yes.
You're not paying for volume. You are paying for choice. So when I go to one, okay, I like salads. I know that sounds really corny and all that kind of stuff, but I do. I enjoy it. And it's, you got to rinse the vegetables. You got to coordinate everything, put it together. When I don't have to do the work, yay.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
So I'm going to go to that because somebody's done all the prep for me. Sounds like a good deal. I love soup. So I'm not a huge fan of cream soups just because I find that after I eat too much of it later on, it bothers my stomach. So
Yeah.
I just naturally like broth soups. So I know when I go to a buffet, I can have a cup of 2 different kinds or 3 different kinds of soup. None of them are really going to raise my blood sugar. None of them are really going to pack up any weight. I look at it as I have the freedom. Somebody else has done the prep, and I can have a little bit of fish, a lot of salad, maybe a little bit of beef, not a whole serving of fish, not a whole serving of beef. And I have one meal, but I had the luxury of mix and matching a healthy meal.
Yep.
So really, if you can't, how many times have you gone out for dinner and someone said, am I going to have the fish? No. I'm going to have beef because I have beef. Oh, no, the chicken's probably a better choice for me. And they can't make up their mind. Then you get people collectively deciding to share meals. You order this and you order that. Well, I'll share. Well, there's a buffet, right? So the buffet is, you don't have to spend extra on side dishes. You don't have to overeat. There's the clue. Although we think we have to overeat, you now are paying for choice. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Arming yourself with the mindset is the first thing you do when you go out, right? So when it comes to, let's say, diabetes, and we know that weight is an issue and that low-hanging fruit, because it's the first point of change. You go to the doctor and they say, okay, you know what? Your sugars are looking a little elevated, so I want you to be careful. You're not pre-diabetes, or, you say pre-diabetes. It used to be called borderline, by the way. But your sugars are elevated. So, you want to be careful. Okay, that's your clue. Let's change the lifestyle. You're not alone, though, because it's almost 1 in 2 that should be doing that. Diet's a 4-letter word.
Yes,
We use it, now it's always to do with weight loss. Like diet really meant it's the way you eat,
Right.
which is lifestyle. It doesn't mean you should be denied. It doesn't mean any of those things. It doesn't mean you can never have pizza. It doesn't mean you can't have pasta again. It doesn't mean any of those things. It's if you know how food works, if you don't buy into the buzzwords and look at all the marketing and all the confusion, because the confusion out there is just incredible to me, the things that they say. When you know the truth and have the knowledge, but you can actually now have the support to apply it. We can go into information overload. I talk to people that, honestly, they quote me, I know this is micronutrients and blah, and they use all the keywords and, they're hammering all this stuff like bullets coming at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, okay, so why are we on the call? Oh, well, I have to lose a little weight and my sugars are elevated. Okay, so let's forget what or table it for now. Let's just swoop it over. Let's start fresh. And remember, you are an individual. What's going to work for you?
Yeah.
Because we know, as you found out at work, that they just looked at your height, probably your age, your weight, and said, no, thank you. This isn't going to happen. And yet they don't know you. They don't know what your muscle mass is. They don't know what your workout routine is. They don't know anything about you. They told me, I shared with you, I took care of my grandmother, okay? Just shy, and I mean like a month and a half shy of her 106th birthday.
Whoa.
She passed away in my home. For years, and I mean years. Well, you know, she's only going to probably have 30 days to live. You know, she's probably only got another 30 days to live. Well, we blew past that doctor. He retired. Okay, got a new one who said, you know, Anita, whenever I ask you, what is she doing for exercise? What is she doing for, you know, because you can get depression, which she had some dementia, right?
Right.
All of these things, I could answer him, boom, on the spot, which helped him better support her. So because I knew what I was doing, and not because I'm trained with seniors, because it's life.
Yeah.
I practice it myself every day. Right? And,
Right.
you know, through love, care, and general lifestyle skills that we can embrace and follow. If a woman at 105 can do it, what does that say? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So many of us focus on, we can't do this. Like, I can't eat that. Well, why can't you eat it? Do you have an allergy? Like, what's going on here? It doesn't mean that you can never eat something again. But when you learn about food, you may not want to eat it as often, which is what I experience. And if you like, I'll share my journey with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when I was a little bitty person, right? So again, preteen, I started to feel a little unwell, right? And it wasn't all the time. It was kind of in and out. And it wasn't even really enough for me to express to my parents. Because you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
Good days, bad days, I mean, whatever. Then one day I got a cold. And I didn't quite get over the cold, let's say the way maybe in general one should get over a cold. Mm-hmm. And I became very listless. And to the point where all of a sudden my speech became slurred. So my parents thought, okay, this is not normal, and took me to emergency. So I get to the emergency room of the hospital, and, you know, they've got the curtain around you, and the doctor's behind the curtain. He looked at me quickly, and they did some tests, like a little bit of blood, and I couldn't get to the bathroom to give them a urine sample. Okay, so I remember that. So they took the blood, and I heard some whispers on the other side of the curtain. And I heard my father say, and he was quite upset, like, is she going to make it? And that's what I heard. So in my head, and I was kind of, you know, a little bit, I was in and out groggy. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. So the doctor comes in, and he says, listen, dear, I'm going to give you an injection in your arm. It's going to help you out, and we're going to move you to another hospital. So I'm thinking, okay, any help I can get. And I can't really verbalize it at this point because I was really that weak.
Yeah.
So he gives me an injection. Guys come and they put me, you know, on another gurney. I get wheeled into an ambulance, but my parents couldn't come with me. They had to follow the ambulance. And I remember all the bright lights. I'm seeing it visually in my head. I remember this like it was yesterday. All the bright lights into the, you know, right into a downtown core. Get into the emergency room of another hospital, and they get me up to a room. Now in a room, and I got doctors and nurses all around giving me IVs of both arms, working on me. They're constantly checking machines and doing things, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, just let me live. That went on for 2 days. Okay, the third day, they take me out, and they put me in a wheelchair. So, okay, I'm sitting up. I'm still alive. Okay, this is happening. We go over and they wheel the wheelchair onto a huge scale, right? Out of a movie. It's behind me, a scale, so I can't see my weight. And they went, oh, yeah, no, yeah, she's lost a lot of weight. She's underweight. They take me out, and I see Westlake on a board at the nurse's station. I was at the nurse's station, and it's got some number saying 1,200. I'm thinking, okay, what does that mean? 1,200. That's me. All right, go back to the room. Day 4, they get me up, and I'm able to walk. Pretty cool, right? So they take me down, and they help me. They take me down to the nurse's station and put me in a room. And there's a couple other kids in there, too. And we're sitting at a table at the back, and we've got like a mat in front of us. And on the mat is a glass syringe. a plastic thing that looks like a needle. What did I know about these things then? And a bottle with a clear solution in it. So I'm looking at this thinking, all right, I guess they're going to give me another something, injection or something's going to happen here. So she says, now I want you all to pick up this needle and you're going to hold it like this. Now, because that was the first thing I learned. This is the way you hold it. The needle goes here and the baby finger stops the plunger from falling down. So we get the hang of it. I broke a needle. Okay, sorry about that healthcare system. Get another one. Off we go. Put it on top, screw the needle head on top. Now we got a balance, which was very unnatural. I have to tell you, this bottle on top of the needle and withdraw it back. Keep that baby finger there. We don't want the plunger to fall. And then don't have an air bubble because it'll kill you.
Yeah.
And this is how this will kill you. We learn to flick it. This is all in one go, right? We learn to flick it. We pull it back. And she looks in a chart. Okay, Westlake, pull it back to 8. Jones, you pull it back to whatever. So we did this. Now, the back of the chair, which was one of those metal, it almost looked like those IKEA kind of things or in a cafeteria. Put your arm up, take that needle like it's natural, and pop it into your arm and push down the plunger. In what planet was this happening? So, I'm like, I have to do what? What? I mean, I'm just a kid. What do you want can't you do it? No, you have to do it. You have to do it. Okay, so I finally did it. Pull this thing out. Thought I was going to drop it. Okay, put it down in front of me. I look at her and I said, okay, I did it. I'm done. Well, that's good. So you'll know it for next time. Next time? What do you mean next time? How often do I have to do this? For the rest of your life.
Wow.
I looked at her and I said, does this keep me alive? Yes, it does. In my head, Anita, you didn't die. Because all that time, I thought I was going to die, right? You were going to live. You did it. Just do it again, do it again, do it again. And every day it's life, right? Just do it again. This is how I coped as a young child on how to do it. But we weren't done. So from there, we had to go and take classes, learn how. Now imagine this is a kid, right?
Yeah.
From head to toe, how the body works with insulin and how to create a good blood sugar. Now, we had minimal tools in those days. We didn't have ongoing blood glucose monitoring systems. We didn't even have pricking your finger quite yet. We were on the verge of that, but we had test tubes. Whole lot of fun, let me tell you. I was like the mad scientist, better hair, of course, but a mad scientist, go into the bathroom, get a Dixie cup, which was just a barrel of laughs, pee into a Dixie cup, and then we'd have to open up our little kit, and we'd take a test tube, a dropper. We had our test tube. We'd have to put so many drops of urine, so many drops of water, and then the pill that we had, which was fairly large, we couldn't touch because if you had any moisture on your fingertips, it would burn them. So we had to learn how to put it in the cap, maneuver that, put it in the test tube, and then it would go psss, and sizzle up, and it would be hot at the bottom to touch, so you didn't want to touch that. You learn that pretty quick. We picked it up, and we shook it, and a color would form. So if you were blue, it was called negative, which means sugar did not spill over into your urine from your bloodstream, okay? When the colors changed, like green would be okay, that would be somewhat acceptable. Orange, not so good. Like an orangey burnt orange, we'll call it. Bad. You're over a certain amount. But it didn't ever give you a specific number. So we used to color in our little books what it was, pre-breakfast, pre-lunch, because it always had to be pre a meal, right? And pre-dinner. And a physician would tell us how much insulin we would need for a day. And we only took 1 shot a day back then and mixed it. Then we graduated to 2 shots. Then we graduated to finger pricks, which I got to tell you, we welcomed. Where people are afraid of them, we were like, yay, because it gave us freedom to know where we were at. And how could I put this nicely? We didn't have to lie as much. Right? Because when we had a book, I got to tell you, my favorite color was blue. Because I didn't want to hear from the doctor how bad I was. I didn't need to beat myself up internally when it was pretty hard to know what the heck you were doing anyways. And they always took your weight, by the way. They took your weight. They did an A1C, which is a blood test, every 3 months. And that tells you how much sugar collects around your cell. It's a measurement over a 3-month period. And so all our books could say all the blue you want, but when they did that A1C, it was like a lie detector test.
Like, oh, you're bullshitting us.
How can you have all blue and we're not showing that here over the last 3 months? And you're like, oh, well, I don't know how that happened. Jeez, what do you want from me? Then you'd have internal fights, which people, I hear all the time, arguments. That's not, nobody was duking it out, but arguments where they say, you're not supposed to eat that. You can't eat this. Oh, we have to have special food for Anita. Oh, Anita's such a drag because we can't go here. We can't eat this. Oh, are you on that diet? Well, we don't have to eat like that. Look at us. We're great. All those people now that said all those things, and I hate to say this. I say this with love, okay? But they're all overweight. They all have had more health conditions than I would ever want because they were blinded. I don't have to.
Right.
When what they didn't see was the way I lived, essentially, was to produce a healthy blood sugar. And no matter where you are, whether you don't have diabetes, whether you're pre-diabetic, whether you have type 2 or you have type 1, that equals health. Because blood sugars affect you from head to toe. And they just do. They can create hunger. They can create cravings. They can create stress on the body. They can do all sorts of things. So when people say, this is why the CDC created this and certified people like myself, was because they realize, wow, like when you create healthy blood sugars, it's easier to lose weight. You are naturally going to make better choices because you know what you're creating. Now, people without diabetes, and we don't even realize this, will have blurps in their blood sugar. It's just not long enough lasting where it's going to show up, right? When they do a blood test or what have you. But when you hear something like, let's say, sugar crashes, some of these terms are just terms that, what the heck does that mean? I love that. Oh, you could have a sugar crash. Oh my goodness, you don't want that. Well, what does that mean? It sounds like you got to eat sugar all the time. You don't want to be crashing. But what it means is, essentially, is when you've eaten something with a lot of sugar, raises your blood glucose level extremely high and quickly, the body goes into panic. And we are incredible human beings. Like the body is incredible. The brain instantly reacts. The pancreas is where insulin is created through cells, and they're called beta cells in the pancreas. And it says, come on, just like Star Trek, right? Come on, Scotty, get those engines going. We need insulin. Go, go, go. So it produces this insulin in a panic because we don't want a high blood sugar. So out goes the insulin, deals with it. Okay, it's going to deal with it. It takes about 2 hours for everybody, okay? And some people a little sooner, some people a little later, but that's a margin, all right? That's kind of a rough. So when it does that, in its panic, it may have created a little too much. So now a signal goes to your brain and it says, we need food. We need something because guess what? We created a little too much insulin. Some people get headaches. They don't know why. They get this craving. Oh my gosh, I don't know where this came from. There's something wrong with me. No, there's not. It's science. The way you ate and your body reacted to it, they call that a sugar crash. But really, you ate a little too much sugar. Your body made a little too much insulin. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen more often than not. And now it's telling you need to eat something. Perfect example of that is Chinese food. I think I mentioned that to you.
Yeah.
You go out and you have your chicken balls. You got that, gosh knows what it is, that orange goop sauce.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just talking glucose there, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much nothing but sugar.
Nothing but sugar. Then you have rice. And I love it. Oh, gosh, this makes me just cringe sometimes. Sorry. But are you on a diet? Do you want to eat healthy? Let's pile on the rice. Rice is, I'm sorry, but it will do this to your glucose. Do it to your blood sugar, okay? if you want to have mashed potato, that's no different than having rice. Really,
Right.
it's what you put on it. Now, if you're going to put half a pound of butter, you're going to add sour cream, you're going to overdo the salt, which we know isn't good for
Guilty.
anybody.
That's what us good old boys do down here in Indiana.
Yeah, right? Like, that's what's doing it, okay?
Yeah.
So, but if you know the realities, for me, it opened up my world because we were so strict because I didn't understand everything about food. So we would literally, everything was measured by what we ate, how we moved, and how much insulin. And we didn't have daily accounts of, except for that little test tube that we're going like this with. And that's not very accurate, okay?
Right.
So it was like every morning at 8 o'clock you had to eat. Every day at lunch it had to be new. If you did, I love the gym teacher. Once I got a little older, you had to run the track. Well, what's like you're not running? Well, look at buddy. I don't even know if I'm having a low blood sugar. You might have to pick me up off the pavement here. Might not be very pretty, all right? So calm down. Nobody even knew what it meant to have a low blood sugar. I was literally like show and tell in grade 8, even grade 9. It was ridiculous. I was the kid that took the needle, right? So getting past that was difficult because we do that when we're a diet. We're different. We want to fit in. We want to go to the parties. We want to eat pizza at midnight. We want to do all the things. And it was difficult. So when they had the tools to give us gauges, when they found out more about food and how it works, the world opened up. It would close some people's worlds today, but it sang like angels to me. So when I found out that a fruit was interchangeable with what they used to call a starch or a carb today, right? It was like, ta-da! You mean I don't actually have to eat a piece of fruit if I don't want to? On a day that we have spaghetti, I could actually have a half a piece of garlic bread or whatever the heck. I could measure that and have that instead of having to eat a half an apple. Wow, I have a choice. So when you're eating, when you know these things, you don't have to deprive yourself. You just have to understand how it works. The body is, it's not prejudiced against sugar, but it knows sugar. And it really doesn't care where it comes from. In the sugar world, does not matter. It doesn't matter if you eat all the antitoxin berries, you're doing all the stuff, you eat bananas, you eat apples and all these things. It's sugar.
Yep.
Where it matters is your health. So you always wear two hats, which I'm sure you're learning in your weight loss journey.
Yes.
Because that's all part of diabetes as well. What you learn from our course, if you don't even have diabetes, you will lose weight in a healthy way.
But I've
It's
also
multifaceted.
I've also learned that there's a difference between the natural sugars and the processed sugars.
Of course, 100%. So, but that comes under the health.
Right.
Okay, so here, I got Smarties for you guys. Smarties, we all love them. Small, because, if you only have 3, it doesn't count, right? Until you eat about 8 of these. So, come on, we've all been there. Me too. Been on a journey. It's always a journey. So they have about 45 calories. 45, 65. I just know that because I know my calories pretty much, right?
Right.
You would think that's pretty reasonable. If you're on, you guys, what 3,000 calories a day? And you might not even count your calories. I'm just throwing it out there. The average male is between, they say 2,000. I think that's a bit low. Let's say 24 to 3,000. Because the one thing people don't factor in is beverages.
Yep.
I love that, right? So they say, well, I only ate this. Well, what did you drink? Right? Beer, wine, sodas, coffee, tea, milk. Milk is sweet. You would never think that, right? But it is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, it's funny. It's funny that you say that because we had a conversation the other day, and I said, "Well, I'm not counting what I'm drinking," which I don't do a lot of sugars in the first place. Right now, at least
98% of what I drink is water.
Yeah, but I'll be like, I had a Ghost Energy drink. I'm not counting that one. Like I said, we're really good at lying to ourselves. You know what I mean? Which
It's negotiations.
It's 5 calories, but still, it still should be counted. And what about the artificial sweeteners in it and all that stuff? It's not. I know that it's not great for me. But it's better than I used to be. Used to I'd grab one that was, I don't know, 200 calories or however much they are, and I'd slam 30 of those a day. I'm not doing that anymore. I drink a lot more water, a lot more teas and stuff. But yeah, it's really easy not to count the things that you drink because we lie to ourselves.
It is so easy not to do that. I think that's a big part of it, right? So when you say, someone says, oh, I can eat less than 3,000 calories. Well, are you counting your beverages? Because that's a big thing. When I get a coffee, it's just funny that where I get a coffee, they've started to show you a calorie count. It's funny how they do that. They're very selective because on their specialty drinks, which are always more expensive and have fancy names, they don't show you as much because those ones are really high in calories, right?
Yeah.
But I get my coffee, okay, start off black, 0 calories.
Yep.
I have 2 milks. Not that much, right? What they call 2 milks, 2 little squirts of the, whatever, the button they push. It ups to 65 calories for 2 little things of milk.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at the little...
Milk is very calorie dense.
Right? The little thing, that's 30 each. You wouldn't think that, would you?
No. You're like, oh, that's nothing. That's there's nothing there. The
But
little
as
flavor.
we just realized, calorie doesn't always equal a successful blood sugar. Maybe weight-wise, but not in a blood sugar. So if I was to have a piece of bread, okay, at 120 calories is, let's say, around an average piece of bread, right? This is 45. Well, I can tell you in real time that this is going to spike my blood sugar more than the bread.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Right? The bread will fill me up more. Right? Like, I know it will. That's just me. But this will spike my sugar more than the bread will.
No,
So calories are not always, giving you a visual on creating a good choice for your blood sugar or a good choice for your health.
Now, I do have a question talking about sugar, how it affects your body. So how is artificial sweeteners, how does your body process that versus actual sugars?
Beautiful. I love that question because it goes into the liver. So we know how important the liver is, right? You can't consume anything without it getting filtered through the liver. And I don't think we respect our livers enough. So when you have something artificial, sweetener or otherwise, right? When something gets processed through the liver and, it goes to where it's needed, right? So the body can identify it. It knows what to do with fiber. It knows what to do with sugar. It knows what to do with proteins, right? It knows the body needs sugar, salt, fat, water. It knows all these things. Mm-hmm. Now you've got a foreign substance that's gone through the liver. It doesn't know what to do with it. Where does this go? Where do you think it goes? It stays in the liver. When the liver stores something, it gets converted to fat, right? So when you eat sugar and let's say it's not all distributed, the liver will store excess. I'm pointing to my liver right now. And it will convert that sugar to fat, okay? So when you have a fatty liver, bells are going off, right? When you have a fatty liver, it doesn't always mean it's from real food or I've just drank in a bottle of oil or some bloody thing that people visualize, because that's what you might visualize, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we think fat makes you fat. Really? Does it? Because I got news for you. Sugar makes you fat too, because it's converted to fat in the liver, right? So if you eat too much sugar, and I touch my cells, we all have the same amount depending on your body. Like I'm not the tallest cat in town. So I'm not even 5'1", but I'm not 5 feet. Let's get that clear because I'm not owning that one.
Hey, I'm 5'6", so I some people say I'm 5'5", but I battle for that 5'6" every day. I'm actually the tall boy in my family. That's the sad thing.
Well, there you go. That quarter of an inch, I own that.
Exactly. Every little bit counts, right?
Every little bit counts.
Oh yeah, us short people have to stick together.
But for my body, like someone the same height as me is going to have the same amount of fat cells, right? I mean, people say, okay, you distribute it different, but let's just cut the nonsense and say we all have fat cells. And it's important, right? That they're not bad things.
Yeah.
What the difference is how much do we fill them up? Well, do you actually think that when you eat, it's like injecting a bunch of fat? and it goes into the cells. No, it's sugar that wasn't used, properly utilized in the body, okay? And it's stored and converts to fat, just like the liver. It converts. It's not like a bunch of sugar in that cell. In that cell, you don't say, oh, geez, I got a lot of sugar in there today. No, it's fat, right? We're just not see-through.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not see-through. We don't know what's going on in here, right? If I didn't have if I didn't do my blood glucose continually, I wouldn't know what the heck's going on. I have learned because of visuals, because of the way I feel, because I log certain things. I now can determine something very quickly because I have created that kind of scenario for myself where I've got a measurement and a feeling. I still always make a reference, but I know now that if I eat certain foods, unlike some other people I know that live with type 1 diabetes, they might not have the same reaction in their blood sugars that I have because we are unique individuals.
Mm-hmm.
There's always kind of that margin. There's people that say, I'm not eating any carbs. That's impossible. Okay? So when you take something like what we offer, this is what the CDC talks about, you now know you can call, and pardon me guys, you can call bullshit on a recipe, on what they're saying, because a lot of it is nonsense.
Yeah.
I can eat anything and lose weight. Can you really? Does that equal health? Like, what does that even mean? Diabetes recipes. Well, what makes it a diabetes recipe? Oh, it doesn't have sugar. Well, that's impossible. That is literally impossible. Where does the sugar come from? Why? How does this qualify? We teach people. You don't need, it sounds terrible. I mean, I'm just being honest, right? You really don't need a diabetes cookbook. To lose weight, whether you have diabetes or not, you don't need that, right? What you need to know is know how food works.
Right.
So I just saw, they said no carb dessert. Well, how does that work? Because as far as I know, the only thing that doesn't have a carb, okay, is water, black tea, black coffee, and that Diet Coke that may not be distributed through your body because your liver doesn't know what that aspartame or whatever they're using is, right? Mm-hmm. So, and maybe it has stevia in it, which is a plant. Okay, let's give a little bit of room there. But that is no carb, all right? So when they said that, I looked through it and it had almond flour. Well, I think they thought it didn't have a carb because it had almond flour, right? Does that sound reasonable? Probably. No, don't pass go. It has a carb. When you eat something, it will break down and have a sugar effect. Sad but true. Now, some things won't affect you the same way, right? So fats don't affect your blood sugar the same as, let's say, traditional carbs. And when I say that, starchy, like potato, like rice, like breads, all right? Mm-hmm. Then you have things like proteins. Are they healthy proteins? Are they breaded? What kind of sauce do you put on it? That's going to up your blood sugar. But really, a lean protein on its own, and I don't mean boring and dry and I just mean a protein, right? Will do this so that your body now has time to react to it, and it's not, boom, insulin on board, stressing it out, creating, appetites or cravings afterwards or not feeling well. It's going like this. So I was following, I won't name that community, but I was following them just to see what people needed help with, And some of them said, geez, I ate protein, I did all these things, and my blood sugar's still high. So their advice from peers, to be fair, was eat more protein. Mm-hmm. Protein, it'll lower your blood sugar, No, it won't. It won't, depending on how you eat the protein, whether it's breaded, what kind of sauce is on it, it won't spike it, but it certainly won't lower it. So they were thinking, I'm going to drink more protein shakes. I'm going to do all these things. The only thing that's going to lower your blood sugar is insulin. Plain and simple. I'm sorry. You can work out. Working out is a beautiful thing. There is no condition where working out won't help you. Mm-hmm. Okay? Circulation, all the beautiful things that exercise does for our bodies. But it is a tool. When it comes to blood sugars, it is a tool to support your insulin. It is not a replacement for it.
Right.
And I think that's where people really we get lost, we get confused. We think, oh, eat this food and you won't get diabetes, like cinnamon. And not so much. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry to disappoint people, but no. Or I can't eat peanut butter because it could cause diabetes and I am at risk. Not true. Okay?
I eat entirely too much peanut butter.
I'll be honest.
I eat entirely too much peanut butter.
I love peanut butter.
I couldn't go a day without peanut butter. Like I always have like a small little bit of peanut butter before I go to bed. Like that's my nighttime snack.
That's me.
And it makes my heart happy.
I make 2 peanut butter sandwiches and drink about a pint of milk every night before sleep.
Do you really?
Every night, religiously.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So back in the day, and they still talk about this, all right? Because I take an artificial insulin, I have to really know what I'm doing, right? Because I have to use a step that your body automatically, with your brain to your pancreas, knows what's going on there. Where I have to measure it externally, take it externally. But the lifestyle is the same because we all want to create a good blood sugar. When you take an artificial or any insulin, because that would be artificial if it's outside the body,
right?
It is a hormone and it can be a little volatile, right? Maybe overshoot. You add exercise, you add stress hormones, whatever. It can be hard to get it perfect. You try, right? For some reason, blood sugars drop at night. Okay? Who knows why? We don't know why. And they used to tell us, have a sandwich, because we didn't have the testing tools like we have now. And it doesn't make us perfect. It just makes it a little easier. Okay? Yeah. Because your blood sugar could drop at night. So have a sandwich. Because the carb with the protein and a little bit of fat will go like this. So it won't go like that and you'll come crashing down. It'll help. It'll help you go if your blood sugar drops a little bit. So they used to tell us to do that. And we ate in a very healthy way. I would say the weight was managed because they would push it on us all the time, right? So having a sandwich before bed is not a bad thing. Depending on how you feel, how much
he's going to tell his wife that now.
That. Yay, right? I'm doing something good.
You just made me happy.
We beat ourselves up too much. We do. We think, everything I'm doing is bad. Everything. It's not. Pizza. Do you think that diabetes, as a kid, pizza. Going to McDonald's. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. And finally, they came out with, which I have for people, they came out with these little forms, and they did this for the Diabetes Association, by the way back in the day, with food counts, right? So we knew what we were ordering. We looked at it. It's quite horrifying, to be honest with you, but we knew what we were doing then, right? Do I need a little more insulin? Can I have this? Whatever. It gave us a gauge, right? You have to make lemonade. Same with when you eat pizza. Nobody said you can never eat pizza. It's quantity. What are you having in the pizza? When are you eating the pizza? Right? How often are you eating said pizza? When you make it yourself, you're always going to know better what's in the pizza. Let's face it. Right. Okay? Yeah. But it doesn't mean you can never have pizza. Just let's know what you're eating.
So it's funny you say that because pizza is my favorite thing on the planet. I've loved it my whole life. It's just I would have pizza every single day. But then as I've gotten older, my body doesn't like certain foods anymore. And anything that has tomatoes in it, I can't handle. It makes me just deathly sick, that's pizza. I mean,
it's pizza.
And so, I still lie to myself sometimes. I'll be like, I can have pizza, and then I always regret it. But I found, with my dietary restrictions, I found, okay, if I can't have this, how can I make it so it can fall into my dietary restrictions? Since I can't have tomatoes, I found out that if I do have a slice of pizza, then I'll do it's not the same, but I'll do Alfredo sauce on it instead of the tomato sauce because I can handle that. It's still not the same, but I've just had to make adjustments that fit for me, and which I think really, in a nutshell, that's like you said, everything is individual, and so what affects you isn't going to affect him the same way, just the same as me.
No, I just ate a whole large pizza for lunch yesterday.
So tomato sauce doesn't bother you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
And that's the other thing is, like, for instance, so we're gym partners, but we also have, I don't know if you can tell the size difference between him and me. He's like the Incredible Hulk, and I'm not. But his goal is to get, he's a power lifter. He wants to get really, really strong. And so, like, it takes a lot of calories to support how he lives in the gym. For me, I just want to be functionally strong. You know, I want to be able to do things that I want to be able to do and not feel like I'm going to die while doing it. And so our diets are very different. But
drastically.
But like I was saying, we found out that diets aren't a one size fits all. Fitness isn't a one size fits all, and it's all about figuring out what works for you. I did this program through the Army. It's called H2F, and we talk about it on here all the time because I was just so impressed by it. It's called Holistic Health and Fitness, and so they like dove deep into like how our body works, and like I got into this thing they call a bod pod, and it like tells you everything about your body, your BMR, and everything that you need to do. They go into sleep, they go into fitness, everything. And it was such an eye-opening experience for me since we've taken those lessons and implemented them into our fitness and our workouts. We've seen like a 20% increase in our strength, and we've seen like it's really made a huge difference in our overall fitness journey. But it made me realize that, you know, there's all these fad diets out here, and there's all these different things out here, but it's not a one size fits all. You got to figure out how your body works and adjust things to that. And just because you're trying to live healthier doesn't, like you said, doesn't mean you can't have all the things that you like. Most of it's moderation. You know, you can have a piece of candy here and there, or maybe have a slice of pizza. But what are you doing the rest of the time? Are you fueling your body properly? And we're still far from where we want to be on our fitness journey, but it's about being consistent. Consistency beats everything. But being consistent on our diets, being consistent on our fitness, and just clocking in every day and being like, all right, today we're gonna get it. And if we fail, if we have a mishap, that's okay. We got the next meal. We got the next gym session.
I'm a huge proponent for meal preps as it is anyway. I meal prep every Sunday. I'll meal prep my meals for the whole week, and I am a creature of habit to the extent to where I will make the same meal for months on end every day and just eat it and be perfectly fine with it, not have any issues. I know the macros. I know how many calories. I know the fats. I know the whole shebang for it. So it's easy to track it, and that's another reason why I continue to do it that way, because it's laziness more so than anything. But yeah, I've tried every diet in the world, you know, before. I've tried all the stupid fad diets. I've done carnivore. I've done just the regular keto diets. I've done the OMAD diets. I've done the water fasting. I've done everything that you can possibly think of, and nothing that I've ever done is sustainable, except for eating stuff like whole foods, tracking your macros, you know, and keeping it in line with what your body actually needs, instead of going on these crazy fad diets that everybody sees on social media all the time. It's about finding what I've learned anyway, is it's finding what works for your body, what's sustainable for your longevity, and just sticking with it.
Yeah.
That's 150%, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we teach. We teach what food is, how to read labels, all of the things, how you avoid pitfalls, and we just try to make that feel as easy as possible. You're going to have little divots, right, in it, but how do you get over them and decrease the amount that you have?
Right.
And not make them great big craters where you're going to fall into it, where it affects your health, in other words, right? So both of you are doing really well. The meal prep's great. And the fact that it's not just the meal prep, though. It's that you're doing it.
Right.
Right?
I also don't eat like a robot. It's like I still have on the weekends. I consider the weekends my cheat days. So every weekend, you know, when I go out with a wife or we're sitting at home or whatever, I'll eat a cheeseburger and fries, or I'll eat some pizza, or I'll have that ravioli or lasagna or whatever the case may be, something that's outside of the realm of my diet, and I don't track those calories. It's just like a free day, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to eat whatever I want, and I'm good. And that's what keeps me on track, is having those days where I can just kind of just have, I look forward to those days. I'm like, I'm going to stay on track all week, and then come the weekend, those are my cheat days. That's the fun days, and I look forward to those.
And like for me, I have my boys on the weekend. I have 3 ornery little boys, but and they're 2 of them are teenagers, so they eat me out of house and home. And but on the weekends, whenever I have them, like I said, I do the 80-20 rule. And so on the weekends, if maybe we'll on a Friday night we'll watch a movie and get a pizza or something, I have to watch the kind of pizza I eat. But if I have a slice or two, I still try. Even whenever I eat the crappy foods, I guess you could call it, I still try to monitor, like not to eat to the point and fall into my old bad habits to the point where I'm just miserably full, But on the weekends, I just if I eat a burger, I'm not going to beat myself up about it.
Exactly.
Like I said, I think that 99% of everything is a mental game. It's what you do with what you do after you have those times. Are you going to let that ruin all the progress that you've made along the way, or are you going to say, okay, this is a one-time thing, I'm going to pick it up and do better next time?
Okay, so when you have a burger, I'm hearing pizza, right? And you don't eat it all the time, but those are your cheat days.
Right.
Well, what if you learned to eat a burger that wasn't cheating? Like, what about a burger is cheating to you? Like, think about that for a minute. That would imply someone that wanted to keep their blood sugars, which we all should be doing, right? We all should. I have a test, actually, that I sent you that'll give you evaluation. What's your risk level? And that's, just kind of basic, but because it's a lot of us. It's almost half the population is affected by this. So what about a burger is cheating? Because really, it's a kind of a sandwich, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pick the right bun and you get a leaner burger, and what you're putting on it, not that you want to eat a burger every day, because there's the kind of meat and is all that red meat like good for our hearts or bodies. But let's say you have it once in a while. What about that is cheating? There's a bigger question.
For me, whenever I say I mentioned burgers, it's more like I track my calories, and so like for me, my BMR says that between my BMR and my activity level, I should have about 2,700 calories. And right now I'm on a cut, so I'm at a 300 calorie deficit, which is fairly healthy, about a pound a week for a short period of time. But like on my weekends, I'm not tracking anything. Like my weekends, it's like if I eat the higher calorie things and maybe I ate a little more that weekend, like maybe I ate the 2,900 calories, I'm not worrying about it. That's more what I mean.
Okay.
So like more.
Yeah, for me, a cheat meal, as I call it, is a meal that I don't track.
Yeah.
Basically, it's something that I just eat and I don't worry about it.
Because I do have burgers through my week. I will admit that I'll have a burger on occasion, but a lot of times, like if I'm depending on what I've eaten throughout the day, if I'm like, you know what, I want something a little more savory. I want something that, and so maybe I'll do like a bunless burger with some vegetables, and I'll like do something like that. And maybe I'm not going to throw all the mayonnaise and all the really greasy stuff, extra stuff on there. Maybe I'm not going to eat a whole entire plate of French fries that are doused in grease and salt and stuff. But I'll still have things like that. I just monitor on how much I eat of it through the week.
Okay. So that's what's making it what you're calling as cheat, is you're just not tracking the calorie count as much. You're not worried about some condiments that you might deem to be unhealthy or what have you, right?
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, sure. But when you look at just the bare bones, if you knew, okay, when I have this burger, it's going to equal this amount, you could quickly mentally do a track. And as you get used to that and you understand how food works, it becomes less of a cheat meal. And you will have to track less because you're used to it, right?
That intuitive eating.
Exactly. That's how I've lived my life, like by example. It's very interesting. Do you know that 90% of people don't eat enough vegetables?
I could imagine.
I can say with 100% certainty I don't eat nearly enough vegetables. I love vegetables, but I don't eat nearly enough of them.
Do you know what the thing that I struggle eating more than anything is I'm not a fruit fan. Like I struggle with fruit. Sometimes I try. I don't like.
I love fruit,
and I used to. I don't know what changed. It's just I'm not. I don't have a real big sweet tooth, and it's the sweetness of it that it doesn't do it for me. But I struggle with my fruits. But
that's okay. That's okay, because there's a lot of sugar in fruit.
Yeah. But
when they say fruit and vegetables, you don't have to always eat fruit. What they're getting at is just the vitamins, right? I love fruit. I have to actually watch because, I could if I allowed myself to overdo it. Berries, bananas have a lot of sugar, and the riper they are, the more sugar they have. Apples, which I love, half an apple is like having a piece of bread, right? Who knew? But half an apple is one fruit. 2 plums, though, is one fruit serving. So when I was going, at first when I was learning about all this stuff, I'd always say, get plums, because I got to have 2 of those, right? Versus a half an apple. And as a kid, like, who the heck wants a half an apple? Oh, yeah, here's brown bag Anita, half an apple. Here, I'm going to do that. So then you learn that, well, wait a minute, the starch, we're going to call it a carb, and the fruit can be intermixed because of the sugar value, right? So if they said, and they used to be this strict, for a snack, you could have 1, which they used to call a starch, which is a carbohydrate, a proper one, right? 1 fat and 1 fruit. Well, I'd just eat an apple. Who cares about the fat? It's not really going to affect my blood sugar the same way. And I'd have an apple. At the very beginning of my journey, they didn't know that could happen. They're always learning things, right? Mm-hmm. So even when you look at calorie count, where are the calories coming from? How is the body going to utilize it? Because apples are good for the liver. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. On an empty stomach, you want to, and if we really want to get into it, organic, because there's not anything else in there that the liver has to process. It's an apple. On an empty stomach helps clean the liver. Same with bone broth on an empty stomach. Same with this so-called lemon water that's going to help you lose 10 pounds. It's because the theory is it helps flush the liver. And it's not just the lemon juice to squeeze it. It's the rind of the lemon, hot or cold. If you get the rind, the yellow bits, put it in the water. Now we want the juice too for flavor. And there's other properties that are healthy. Squeeze that in there. That's where that comes from. It's not that it's actually going to help you shed 10 pounds. It's going to help you with your liver, flush out the fat that we can store in our liver. They call it our last 10 pounds. Not for everybody, but it's not going to hurt you either. Let's keep a healthy liver.
Yeah.
But none of those things will ever work if you keep bombarding your body in the same way you currently are. Right? So
exactly.
As you ease up and you do these things, very simple. And when you look back years ago, people naturally did this. Think about it. They'd have broth pre a meal, right? When you went out to a fancy restaurant or whatever, you could have broth, you could have tomato juice, you could have just all these little things that they did. The meals were laid out differently. And that was the theory behind it. That's where an apple a day keeps the doctor away came from. Liver health, which I thought was pretty fascinating when I found that out.
Yeah.
So what's your whole theory behind the whole social media entourage thing of people putting, I think it's apple cider vinegar and turmeric and all this other junk together and drinking that for weight loss? Obviously, it's not going to work. But what does it do anything at all?
Well, as an individual, you have to find out what it really is doing, because I don't know if there's really a carte blanche attitude towards that. Apple cider vinegar, some people take for their blood. Mm-hmm. If for the heart health. Right. Turmeric is used for various things. I think these are magic wands. Will that magic work for you? Will it work for me? Maybe not. You could have different conditions where you better stay away from that. There is no, hey, this ticket's going to work for everybody. No. I mean, you really have to look at these things. What are you, A, trying to accomplish? B, what other things do you have that this isn't going to jive with, right? I mean, apple cider vinegar thins out the blood. Mm-hmm. But maybe you want to be careful how thin you're making your blood.
Yeah.
Okay, because it can cause other issues.
Like in elderly people, whenever their blood gets really thin, like their skin starts tearing. My grandpa had that problem. Like he would bump something and his arm would just bleed and stuff because his blood was so thin.
You could have surgery on the eye. Let's just say, I don't know, it could be anything. Doesn't mean it's a big surgery, but you have to ask your ophthalmologist, hey, if I'm taking a blood thinner, that could actually, and which would be the apple cider vinegar, okay, that could actually cause bleeding behind the eye because you're more susceptible at that point, right? I mean, what else is going on with your body? So many people want to self-diagnose by taking these things, and I'm not saying they're not healthy. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that they're not healthy. It's just, what does that mean to you? Because again, we are individuals. Right? So, I had a lady come up to me in a grocery store. And I guess because I was read labels, because I know what's in it, and I just naturally look, what is in this thing? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at the label, and I was looking for real cinnamon, because there's things that they're fake cinnamon. They taste like cinnamon, but they're not real cinnamon, right? So I finally found the truly cinnamon I was looking for, but I'm reading it, and she said, oh, I hope I didn't take all the cinnamon on you. I see that you were reading it and looking at the cinnamon. I said, no, I'm good. What do you mean? I looked at her cart. She took every packet of cinnamon that was at a better price point, right? Okay. And had it at the bottom. I mean, she probably, I'm not kidding you. She probably had 20, 30 packets of cinnamon in her cart. And I thought, wow. So I said, you use cinnamon a lot when you cook? What's it? She said, well, that's what I wanted to ask you. I heard, and maybe you would know this, does cinnamon stop you from getting diabetes? I said, no. Save your money,
Dump the
honey.
cart.
Cinnamon is good for you in many ways. It has flavor. It's all these wonderful things. But I'm sorry, there's going to be somebody someday watching this who's going to say, she's wrong because I heard blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you right now, with love in my heart, that if it was a cure for diabetes, we're almost hitting 1 in 2 people. If you don't think someone would capitalize on them.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Right? Like, please, honestly, they don't want you to get well. Yeah, they do. Because the cost of diabetes? Like, really and truly, the cost of diabetes. Look at, when you do something about it, hallelujah, wonderful. You have now an even playing ground. Does that mean you're going to live till you're 180? I don't think so. I wish, maybe. But that's not going to happen. But it is going to cut down on healthcare costs, going to give you a better quality of life, give you more time, all the good things. So why are they hiding it? If anything, they want you to have diabetes so that you will, whatever, for pharmaceutical, but not to the point where you're sick and you're going to burden the healthcare system. There's that fine line, right? Think about it. There's that fine line. So nobody's trying to pull the wool over your eyes right now. Not in that way. They might sell you a magic wand or magical bar or magical pill or magical shot. As we know, they're out there, right?
Yeah.
But saying that cinnamon, I don't think so. Because pharmaceuticals start growing it. I got news for you. Like, that would be all over the place, right? Mm-hmm. The principle behind that is that they say in Chinese medicine, if I have this correct, that cinnamon cools the body down, certain areas, and diabetes is hot in the body.
Oh.
That's the principle. So there is some form of logic where that came from. It was just hiked up where I don't think
somebody took that
right?
info and ran with it in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Kind of like a lot of things the old wives' tales, like one of those types of things.
I have a map I'd love to send you, regardless if you guys want to post it or not. It's a map of the U.S. I get it from the CDC. Years ago, the map had a lot of blue. Remember, like we talked about, blue is a negative, as in it's sugar tipping over from your bloodstream, comes out the urine. And that was a low-level area of diabetes diagnosis, okay? So there's people living with diabetes in those areas, but not high enough to go beyond the blue mark. There is no blue left in the United States.
Wow.
Not one area of blue.
Now, you said that how many people struggle with diabetes nowadays?
Well, the official number was 1 in 3, but it's risen.
Wow.
We're not quite 1 in 2, but it's between 1 in 3 and 1 in 2 currently.
That's crazy.
So that's where this self-test, I sent you the QR code. You can take that. It's a self-evaluation. It's only 6 questions. Is it, this is just a guideline that they've shared with us to say, hey, this just helps you. It's not, nothing is written in stone, okay? But it is a good indicator on your risk factor. So even for ladies that have had gestational diabetes, after they've had their babies, for the next 20 years, they are at an elevated risk beyond that number for the next 20 years. So it might be a great idea that if you can get your sugars together whilst you're pregnant, that you keep that party going, right? And not only for yourself, but think about how that trickles down to your children. We talk about generational wealth. I mean, it's everywhere, right? We want it. It's important. It's fabulous. But what about generational health? Right? Can we pass that down to our children? Does that mean we're never going to have Halloween again? Does that mean you're never going to have pizza night again? No. But you are, by example, in raising them, setting a better example.
It's funny you say that, because we talked the other day. So like I said, I've lost about 55, 60 pounds. And since then, my oldest boy, he's almost 16, and then my 13-year-old, he's really big into soccer and just athletics. But he's like a normal 13-year-old boy, where he's hard to get any information out of right now because he's too cool for dad. But I was taking him back to his mom's one morning, and he looked at me. He was like, "You want to know something, Dad?" I'm like, "What?" He was like, "I'm proud of you." I was like, "You're proud of me?" He was like, "Yeah, you've lost a lot of weight. I think that's really cool. Do you think I could start going to the gym with you?" Which it's hard because he lives an hour and a half away. But I was like, "Absolutely." And whenever he comes down on breaks and stuff, but I thought that was really cool. And we had a conversation. You don't ever realize how many people are really watching you, whether it's your kids, whether it's your family, whether it's the people around you, the impact that you could, the impact that you can make on somebody by making good choices. And so, like you said, do we want to create an atmosphere for generational health? Well, I know that, I come from a family that's struggled with our weights our whole entire life, and don't get me wrong, I have great parents. They're amazing people, but we'll say healthy foods wasn't always on the menu. It was, especially when we were younger, it was what we get. We get what we get, and we don't throw a fit. And so
I've been there.
So yeah, now that my boys can see that, I've made this progress, and they're getting interested. Even my 8-year-old, he was like, "Do you think I can come to the gym and lift weights with you, buddy?" I'm like, "Well, you're a little bit too young they won't let you in the gym to lift yet, but we can definitely do stuff. We can go outside and play ball or do whatever it is." But no, it's a good feeling. It's a prideful feeling to know that my boys are noticing this difference, and they're wanting to be a part of it too.
Hearing you say that the healthy foods weren't always an option makes me laugh, because when I was a kid, every single time, and this is without fail, every time my mom would cook some kind of, whether it was steak or roast beef or any kind of meat with fat on it, I would make her save the fat after it was cooked and put it all on a plate just for me, and I would eat nothing but the fat every time.
You're not alone.
Because that's where all the flavor is.
That's right.
Our bodies crave sugar, salt, fat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That we crave it.
Yeah, I was 5 and 6 years old eating a plate full of freaking beef fat. It's not the healthiest thing in the world.
Now you can laugh and be shocked, perhaps, maybe, but the point is that wasn't unheard of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? My grandparents would take fat from bacon, beef drippings, and if they were really being fancy, they'd take a sieve and pour that into a glass bottle. Now, here's something interesting. They'd keep it under the sink.
Yeah.
Pull it out, sometimes on the counter, but it didn't look so pretty, so we put it under the sink. And they'd use it like lard.
Oh, yeah.
For different savory things. Other people in my family, the French side and the French roots, would take it and put it on bread like it was butter.
I'll be dang.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That actually sounds kind of good. I'm not going to lie. The fat kid in me is getting excited.
My parents, if you threw out the bacon grease, it was all hell was to pay. You know,
Yeah.
Did you really? That was still good. I was like, Dad, it's been here for how long does bacon grease last? It can't last forever. You know,
Apparently a long time.
apparently it can. You know, but he was like, that's where all the flavor
that's
is.
where some cakes came from. When they said, what's called, not spice cake. Not white cake. It's when the cake has that blended,
Like a rum cake?
no, I should say spice cake, but it's when a cake's not white. It's maybe a yellowish color. There's a name for it. It just escapes me right now. But that's where it came from because it was made from that fat.
I didn't
And it
know
was
that.
during World War II. Because
think I've
I
heard
always
this.
felt denied. I was always denied. I started to look these things up later on, like, where did this come from? You know, why are they eating like this? But that's where it came from. So people had to improvise, use. It was also cheaper, waste not, want not, right?
Yep.
Right.
There's that factor that goes into it. Nobody says you can't do that. But we know now there's two hats, right? For general health, okay? Your sugar hat and your health hat. So they got two ears here. That's really what you're looking at, right? I love berries. I love apples. I love all that stuff. But I know the sugar. So I try to have to cut back a bit. So vegetables. I know vegetables with sugar versus vegetables without sugar, meaning it won't affect my blood sugar so much. So what I tend to do, and I just, by example, I'll show people, how do I put that into a meal and build it? And you can eat a lot and it won't affect your blood sugar. It doesn't mean you're a rabbit. It means you're bulking up on vegetables we don't get enough of anyways. I eat meat and fish. I add that in there. And before you know it, you have quite a sizable meal, very good for you, right? And it's not going to affect your sugars the same way. Because we know about that dreaded spike drop later on, how you're going to feel about that, right?
Right.
So all of these things are helpful. And, you both of you together on your, journey towards a healthy weight is fantastic. I mean, you should live, and it sounds like you are, in the game. Not the gap, but the game. This is where I was. This is where I am. And, too many people get disappointed like it's going to happen overnight. And it's not sustainable when it happens that way.
We always say it's a common theme on the podcast. Small wins turn into big wins, and like so often people they focus on the big picture, like far out. What's your goal? Well, I just want to lose weight. Well, how are we going to get there? What are you going to do today? What are you going to do this week? What's your goal for the next month, 3 months, six months, so on and so forth? And it may seem so minuscule in the moment, but taking that step and taking the right direction, it really does add up. And that's like, we're a testament to that. I had never stepped foot into a weight room before a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever I started lifting with him. And I didn't start out lifting what I'm lifting today. I could barely put up any weight. I really didn't have a whole lot of muscle mass. And now I'm just hit another PR last week and on one of my lifts, and it didn't happen overnight. It took us almost 2 years to get there, and same with him. It's taken him almost 2 years to get there. It's taking those little steps, one step at a time, and just being consistent. Like there's a big popular thing on social media right now, 75 hard. Well, most people do better off with 365 consistent and just doing the right thing. Like I said, clocking in, and it really adds up over time. But
that's a wonderful thing, and it's such a great mindset to have, really and truly. We, along with the program, I've got another company that wants to join forces. Now, people can opt in or not, depending on where what they prefer. But they offer you, after we do our teaching, they'll offer you a personal training for half an hour online and they look at your fitness goal, your limitations, and your personal preferences, male, female, your personality, and they match you with a fitness instructor.
That's awesome.
If you would rather a personal experience, they'll actually set up a trainer to come right to your house.
Oh, wow.
And we have fitness equipment that we are going to add to the program now that comes in a bag, and you can use it at your desk. Because as they say, in a perfect world, if you can get out and move every half an hour for just 2 minutes, standing up at your desk, you could still be on the phone or have your headphones on or whatever you're doing and move, that reduces your risk of heart disease dramatically, right? Just that little bit of movement, change in position, all these little things that we think, oh, that's not enough. It really means something.
It adds up.
I have a smartwatch, and every so often throughout the day, because I have a desk job predominantly right now, and every so often it'll pop up and vibrate, and it'll say time to get moving, and I'll have to hit it, and I'll get up and do some push-ups or just walk around the office or whatever have you.
For me,
do you do push-ups from
Yes.
your desk? Do you really?
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
I have a space next to my desk that's open enough that I just get down there and do some push-ups.
he does them all, like every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day he does.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. I had to learn. I have no idea if I'm doing it correctly because I'm not doing it in front of a mirror. Maybe I should be.
There's
right?
no such thing as a wrong push-up. As long as you're doing it, that's what counts.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Because I did that 22 push-up challenge.
Oh, yeah, for the 22 soldiers a day.
Yep. And wow, did it make a difference in my strength? Like I
For
was
sure.
impressed. I did it with one of the balls, the
Yeah.
workout balls. So you lean over it and you do your push-ups. And I funny because when we talked last, I thought I got to do that again because I'm not intentionally. I work out every day, and that doesn't make me better or worse than anybody. It just It's what I'm comfortable with. It helps me achieve a better sugar throughout the day. When I do it, I have a preference for morning. If I miss the morning, I still do it. It's just one day that's different. I do something, right? But with intention, I work out every day. And one thing I'm not diligent enough about because of what the benefit of a push-up is I'd like to get back to doing those. But I do a lot of aerobic movements.
And really a push-up is, it incorporates your whole entire body.
Several muscle
it's
groups, yes.
it's a full dang near a full body workout.
Full upper body, pretty much.
And core too, because part of the push-up is the
It
plank.
incorporates
And,
your core, your chest, your traps, your back, your triceps and biceps, and the whole nine.
So it's a great. There's a reason why the military has always been big on push-ups because it's a great.
And there's so different many variations of push-ups you can do too. So that that adds to the variety.
The biggest thing is always be doing something. What quality of life do you want? And you have at the end of the day, in 99% of cases, you have control over the quality of life that you want to have. And so I know that I was tired of getting winded playing chess. I was so fat, so I just decided that I had to do something. But real quick to end the podcast, could you let us know where we can find you on your social medias and for them to find your program? Also, let's plug your book too.
Absolutely. So first of all, the program varies. We kind of match what your goal is, and we're here to help. So to book an appointment is your best course of action, and it's free. We just chat. What are your goals? You might not even be worried as much as about diabetes currently as of weight because of the natural correlation there. You can find me at a website that is alwhealth.com. So it's alwhealth.com. On there, if you want to make it really quick, I've got at the top my Pinterest, my LinkedIn, Facebook, X accounts that you can join.
Awesome.
On there, my Facebook group, and all of them I give free advice. The Facebook community is there to support you in general rules of thumb, right? So we know that sleep affects your health, your weight, your blood sugar, all of those things. Weight is always a factor in all of these things. It also helps your stress level because stress is a hormone, and we talk about abdominal weight. That all factors into that. And for whatever reason, it loves to attack our abdominal area, that stress hormone, right? So we talk about that. We also have recipe suggestions. love them, modify them. Nothing's written in stone. Play with it. There's no hard, fast rule. Have fun with it. Play with it. Add a little more protein in your diet in a healthy way. Enjoy your food. I've got a beautiful one for a dip. Super easy. I also have my book. Now, disrupting diabetes isn't just about diabetes. Really, it's just about regimens in your day-to-day life that you can implement to avoid diabetes, to manage it, to prevent it. All of the things that you could do. It's available on Amazon. Very reasonable. I think it's $10.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
those are other things that can help, right? Can I just tell you guys quickly what you're doing for your bodies?
Yes, definitely.
Can I share that? Okay. So I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but so when you lose weight alone, okay, you are lowering your risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, hypertension, high cholesterol, gallbladder disease, and certain cancers, including for women, breast cancer, gallbladder cancer. You're helping with the idea of reducing the likelihood of kidney disease, sleep apnea, and pressure on your joints. And we know those can be vast. Knee replacement, elbow replacement, all of the things, right, that you're helping with. When you reduce your risk of diabetes or better manage it, you're also your eye health, your risk of having certain eye health issues, liver disease, depression, which is also part of weight. All of those things, can you imagine? All of those things you are currently helping your body with.
Wow.
So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You've taken the step towards health and well-being,
Well,
right?
thank you.
And it doesn't happen overnight. Sustainable steps, like you said, every little bit helps. That means more that I'm going to do it tomorrow, or I'm going to do it in this amount of time. A short amount of time, right?
Yep.
That doesn't equate sustainability or health. And the two of you are doing it the healthy way, so bravo.
Thank you.
I
And that
applaud
just-
you.
and that just goes to show
supporting
you.
people on their journey as well.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
And that just goes to show you that just an hour a day, 4 days a week, will give you a laundry list of positive results, of positive outcomes.
Or as we say in the marketing world, we're ROI positive. So
That's right.
That's the thing is the benefits outweigh the inconveniences, because sometimes it's inconvenient to do the right thing. Sometimes it's not fun. You don't know how many times that we're like, man, I don't want to be here today. It's just, it happens. But at the end of the day, I feel better. You feel better.
100%.
We can do things that we haven't been able to do for years, and I'm really proud of him. The past couple weeks, so he used to run all the time, and he's been getting on the treadmill. And
I haven't done cardio in 8 years, and I just started.
Wow.
I just started 3 days ago. Well, when was it? Last Thursday.
Yeah, last Thursday.
Last Thursday, I started doing cardio again.
And so he's making I was really proud of that, and because I said, he's a big old power lifter.
It came down to it. I didn't do cardio because it was hard on my joints. I didn't like run on the treadmill because it hurt because I was so heavy. So
Okay, right.
And I'm down enough in the weight to where I can run on the treadmill comfortably for a short period of time. I did like 15 minutes today, and it was fine. It didn't, I was all right. So
Yeah, like we've said, it's the small actions
Right.
add up to make big wins, But no, we are so grateful that you came on the podcast with us. We really enjoyed talking to you and learning from you.
Definitely
And-
appreciate all your insight.
And we
for sure.
definitely are looking forward to seeing the reactions from our audience and the positive support that from this podcast. So thank you so much for being on here.
My pleasure. Our whole objective is to get these numbers down in weight and the number of people negatively affected by diabetes. We don't want that. That is our entire goal, is on both sides of it, right? Because they are interlinked. But again, like what you're doing, and now you're doing cardio, and it doesn't even have to be the treadmill, as you know. It
Right.
could be a hula hoop. The weighted hula hoops?
Yeah.
It could be so many jumping jacks,
Well,
skipping rope.
I did a lot of the stationary bike and the elliptical as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Do you have one of those little cubies? I have a cubie under
No,
my
I
desk.
don't.
No.
I should, but I don't.
Yeah, just listen. It doesn't have to be that. It could be whatever it is. The fact is you're moving in a different way. And the fact that you're able to pick and choose what you want to do now without, oh, this will hurt my joints or this will do that. The world opens up, doesn't it?
It does.
So congratulations to both of you. Wow.
Thank you so much. And to everybody that's watching this, if you have a fitness goal or if you have a weight loss journey that you would like to share with us, please reach out to us. You can find us on TikTok, on YouTube, we also have the Facebook page, and more than anything, we have the Facebook community group, which is for you guys to share your weekly wins or your daily wins. And if you have any good information that you would like to share with the Fatman community, but and also if you're a trainer or a expert in a field that you would like to come on and share your expertise or your knowledge or your stories, we would love to have you on. Please feel free to reach out to us. At the end of the day, this podcast, it's about you guys. This project, it's all about you guys, because we know how it feels to battle with our weight and battle with our fitness. And so we wanted to bring you guys along as we're still working on our journey. We're not quite to where we want to be, but we're
nowhere near where we used to be. That's the point.
And we're getting there one day at a time. Like we said, small wins turn into big wins. So thank you guys for all the love and the support you've given us. And we always like to end the podcast with, do you have any final words of wisdom that you would like to share with the group that you think would be beneficial?
I'm sorry, is this for me?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't quite hear that.
Do you have any words of wisdom that you'd like to spread out to the community that would help them out?
Absolutely. So whenever you start a journey, have your first goal. It doesn't have to be your final goal, but have a goal in mind, right? Embrace that goal. Make it sustainable, realistic, and just start. Just start, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the right outfits, and you don't have to go buy new dishes, or you know what I mean? Just start. Let's make wise, healthy choices along the way. And remember, there is no perfection out there. There's absolutely no perfection. But the best thing you could do for yourself is get a goal and just start somewhere.
Like you said earlier, you don't have to be great to start. You have to start to be great.
But, absolutely. Right. And there's no perfect.
Exactly. Well, Anita, thank you so much for being on here. It was a blast. And to you guys, I'm Mitch.
And I'm Dustin.
And this is a Fatmen podcast.
Don't be a bitch.
Don't be a bitch.
Great to meet you guys.
Great
Ciao
to meet
for now.
you. Thank you.